Addod solutions. Add-on desires.
Welcome to Addod solution. I am Sarla. Let's learn word stress. So what do you mean by word stress? The meaning stress. So we have to stress word. In first year, we have learned how to pronounce a word based on the phonetic symbols. So now, apart from pronunciation, we have to stress a particular syllable in a word. Okay? And that is how we have to pronounce a correct English vocabulary. So let us learn where to stress and what words, what syllable in a word we have to stress to pronounce a correct English vocabulary. Okay, so what is word stress? It is, for example, if I give you the word teacher. How do you pronounce this? We usually say teacher, isn't it? But actually in native English, how they will pronounce as a native English speakers, how will they pronounce? So teacher is a noun, and usually nouns, the stress mark is on the first syllable. Okay, so stress mark is done with a vertical bar. Okay, and this says to stress on that particular syllable. So we have learned syllable in our previous classes. First, to mark, to stress on a particular syllable, you have to check how many syllables you have. So teacher has 2 syllables. Teacher, isn't it? So in which syllable we have to stress the syllable? Which syllable has to be stressed more? Is the first syllable. Okay, so correct way of pronunciation teacher is teacher. Okay, the first syllable should be stressed more and the second syllable should not be stressed. It is teacher. Okay, that's how you have to pronounce correctly. So what is this? What is the meaning of word stress? It is the degree of force used on a syllable in a particular word. So what is stress? It is the degree of force on a syllable in a word. Okay, the utterance of the particular syllable. How you have to give a force on that particular syllable. So how do you pronounce teacher? It is teacher. Okay, that's how you have to pronounce. Another word, for example, it is banana. How do you pronounce this? The correct way of pronunciation is banana. Okay, so you have to check how many syllables you have in banana. So based on the vowels, we check the syllables which we have already learned in the last year syllables. So here, banana. There are 3 syllables where you have to stress. So put a vertical bar before that syllable. Okay, so you have to stress on the second syllable, right? So how do you pronounce this? Banana. Okay, so the first syllable should not be stressed. That has to be pronounced normally. The second syllable where you have to stress because the vertical bar is there. So you have to put the stress. So, and na, the third syllable should be pronounced normally. So how do you pronounce this? Banana. Okay. For example, another word, you have idea. How do you pronounce this? The correct way of pronunciation, idea, is you have to stress on the second syllable. So we have 2 syllables here, idea. Okay, so on the second syllable you have to stress. How do you pronounce this? Idea. Okay, idea. So D, on the second syllable you have to stress. So the degree of force used on that particular syllable is called stress. So you are stressing on that word. That's why it is word stress, and that is how you have to pronounce the correct word. Okay, that is how you have to pronounce English vocabulary. Further examples like father, mother. So you have to use the first syllable, okay, because it is noun. we have to use stress on the first syllable. So how do you write in your examination? In your examination, these words will be given. And how to answer? So you have to just write the serial number. If father is given, write the word father, and you have to keep a vertical bar on the syllable, okay, before the syllable, just like this. So teacher on the first syllable, idea on the second syllable. So you have to write clearly in your examination. You have to write the word and then keep a vertical bar on the in front of the syllable, okay, where we have to stress, right? This is how you have to answer. So the first rule of word stress is words with weak prefixes. So what are the weak prefixes here? A, B, con, D, and re. So you know what is prefix and suffix, isn't it? So prefix is the word which is attached before the root word is prefix. So here any prefixes like these five prefixes are called weak prefixes. And weak prefixes, we are not supposed to stress on them because they are already weak, okay? So any word starting with these prefixes, we should not stress on them. So remember this. So it starts from A, B, C, D, and then R, okay? So this is how we can remember easily. These prefixes are weak prefixes and we are not supposed to put stress on them, okay? So for example, what are the words? You have alone, alone. So A is a weak prefix, so you're not supposed to use stress on that. So you have to pronounce it normally. And where the stress is there? On the second syllable. So you have to stress, use force on that syllable and pronounce it, okay? It is alone, above, okay? The stress is on B, above, about, above. Now the second prefix is B. So become, so come, see, you have to stress more on this, okay? You have to use force on the second syllable. Become, below, beneath. So this is how you have to pronounce correct English. Beneath. Now come to the third prefix, con. Continue, continue, okay? You have to stress on T, continue. Resist, resist. So R, no stress. From S, you have to use a stress. So resist, exactly, exactly. So you have to use on the second syllable. Endeavor, endeavor. So here no stress. You have to stress from D, endeavor. Departure, stress on P, departure. Degree, okay, degree. So on gree, you have to put more stress. Degree, okay, this is how you have to pronounce correct English vocabulary. Hope you understood. So all words, prefixes like A, B, con, D, re, E also, E, and this also. Anything starting from, any word starting from these prefixes, then those will be silent, okay? The next syllable, apart from these weak prefixes, the second syllable you have to stress more. And how do you should answer in your answer paper? You have to just keep a vertical bar, okay? Just place this, write neatly the word and just place on the second syllable a vertical bar. That is your answer, right? Now let's see the next rule. Now the second rule is the word stress on compound words. What are compound words? So you know that compound words are made up of two different words, isn't it? For example, you have two words here, toothpaste, coming together to form one word, toothpaste. So two words together is compound words. So here, whenever you find such type of compound words, always keep the stress on the first syllable, okay? compound words, always remember it should be on the first syllable, right? So you have football, postman, tea party, bookshop, grandmaster. So this is how you have to pronounce correctly. Okay, and apart from these compound words, you have further compound words using ever. Okay, you have self, you have plural form selves. So any word ending with ever, self, selves, then the stress mark should be on this words itself. Okay, you should use the stress mark on this, the first syllable of this words. Okay, for example, you have however, okay, whatever. So you have to stress on the ever part, right? However, whatever. Okay, so next, self words. What are the self words? You can say yourself, if it is singular. If it is plural, you can say yourselves, myself, ourselves, isn't it? So where you have to place the stress mark? If such type of words comes in your examination, then you have to put a vertical bar on the self itself. Okay, so where you have to answer? So you have to write the word and keep the vertical bar on the correct place, on self. Okay, so yourself, myself, yourselves, ourselves. This is how you have to pronounce, and this is how you have to answer, keeping a vertical bar on the self. Okay, now next rule. Okay, now any word ending with teen. So how many teens we have? From 13 to 19. So any word, such type of word comes in your examination, make sure the stress mark is on teen itself. Okay, for example, if it is 15, you have to stress mark on teen. Okay, on before T, right? Similarly, 18, teen. So any words ending with teen, make sure the stress mark is on T only, teen. Okay, so you have to stress on teen. Even for example, if I say canteen, even this is teen, ending with teen. So where is the stress mark you have to apply? It is before T. So this is how you have to answer. Write the word and put this vertical bar correctly. Okay, next. Now any numerical word, because that is also nouns, and nouns should be the stress mark should be on the first syllable. Okay, so here 50, 30, 60, 28, whatever the number, 1, 2, any number, it could be any number. Since it is noun or adjective, we have to place a stress mark on the first syllable. Okay, on the first syllable itself. So this you can blindly understand that all numbers, the stress mark is on the first syllable, right? Now let's see the next rule. We have learned the weak prefixes, isn't it? Now let's learn the suffixes. What are suffixes? The word which is placed after a root word, isn't it? So here, whenever you have suffixes like these, please remember all these suffixes. Okay, you have e, et, q, er. Okay, these are the suffixes you have to remember. Whenever you get such type of suffixes, then these stress marks should be on the last syllable. Okay, to answer in your examination, first check the word, check all the syllables, how many syllables, you separate it, and then when you get such type of suffixes, then you have to place the stress on the last syllable. Okay, you have to stress mark on the last syllable if you have suffixes like these. For example, if it is E, for example, employee, right? Employee. Now you have to check how many syllables you have. You have employee, 3 syllables. Then according to the rule, you have to place the stress mark on the last syllable, and that's why it is E. So this is how you have to answer, right? Another, devotee, addressee. So you have to stress even while pronunciation also. How do you pronounce? Employee, devotee, addressee. So this is how you have to pronounce correctly the English vocabulary, right? Now let's see the next suffix. It is er. Okay. So here the first example is engineer. Okay. Engineer. So since it is saying last syllable, you have to keep the stress mark on the last syllable. Engineer. Okay. Profiteer. Pioneer. Pioneer. Okay. Next, et. Here also same rule follows, last syllable. So you have to stress on the last syllable. Gazette, Georgette, kitchenette. Okay. Next, hue, unique. Okay. This is unique. Unique. Critic, critic. Antique. How do you pronounce? Antique. Next, heir, millionaire. Okay, it is millionaire, millionaire. All right, so you have to stress on nair. So this is how. So please remember all these suffixes, and whenever you find such type of suffixes words, then you have to stress on the last syllable. Fine. Let's see the next rule. Again, suffix. Whenever you find a suffix like iron, il, ik, ischius, okay, with 2 different spellings, ischius, then you have to place the stress mark on the second syllable from the last. Okay, previously what we have done, whenever you get e, ear, okay, you have to place the stress mark on the last syllable. Now here, whenever you get suffix like this, you have to place a stress mark on the second syllable from the last. Okay, from the last second syllable. Let's see. Iron, for example, station. Okay, it is station. So from, you have to first check how many syllables you have. So here you have only 2 syllables. And what is the rule is telling? From the last, you have to, I mean from the end, you have to place the stress mark on the second syllable. So you have only 2 syllables here. So it is, the mark is placed on the second syllable from the end of the word. Okay. So shun, station. So it is on the stay part. Okay, this syllable. Next, examination. How do you pronounce? Examination. So even this is, so you have to check how many syllables you have. There are 5. So from the end of the word you have to place on the second. So first, shun, ne. So here is your stress mark. Okay, next, il. So what is this first word? Potential. Okay, so here also the same rule follows. First check how many syllables you have. Potential. Okay, so from end of the word, second syllable. So you have to place on this. Social. You have only 2 syllables here. So on the second syllable from the back, from the end of the word. Now, ik, patriotic. Where do you pronounce? How many syllables we have? Patriotic. Okay. So from the end of the word, second syllable. So it is patriotic. So you have to stress, the stress pronunciation should be on O. Patriotic. Sympathetic. So how many we have? From the end, second syllable. So sympathetic. So you have to stress more on the sympathetic. Let's see the next one. Shears. So what is the word? Notorious. Okay. So how many syllables you have? So from the end, second syllable. So where you have to stress? Notorious. Here, delicious. So this should pronounce normal, and you have to stress on this. Okay. So from end, the second syllable. Delicious. Notorious. Okay, this is how you have to pronounce correct vocabulary. Finally, the last suffix. You have IAN, ical, et, is, logi, graphic. Okay, when such type of suffixes are there in a word, then you have to place a stress mark on the third syllable from the end of the word. Okay, so what is it saying? On the third syllable from the end. Okay, whenever you find such type of suffixes. For example, so what is the first word? Musician. You have to check for the syllables. Musician. So you have 4 syllables here, isn't it? So what is the rule saying? Whenever you have a word suffix IAN, then you have to stress on the third syllable from the end of the word, isn't it? So how many? 1, 2, 3. So where you have to stress? Before S. Okay. So here you have to stress. Give a stress vertical bar. Now, librarian. How many syllables you have? Here also 4 syllables. Then on the third syllable you have to stress from the end. So where it is? 1, 2, 3. And between I and B you have to put this stress mark. Okay. So musician, librarian. This is how you have to pronounce. Giving stress on that particular syllable. You should not stress on the entire word syllables. Okay. Only on one particular syllable you have to pronounce. Give a stress. Ical. Historical. So how many you have? 4 syllables again. So on the third syllable. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, you have to stress on T in between S and T. Historical. Okay. Next, how many syllables you have in optical? 3. So where you have to put this stress mark? Again, check 1, 2, 3. So on the first syllable itself, because it is the third syllable from the end. Okay, it is optical. Next one, ET. So first you check for the syllables. How many you have? Ability. So based on the vowel sounds only we can find the syllables, isn't it? So now from end, the third syllable. So 1, 2, 3. You have to place the vertical bar before B. Okay. Now next, capacity. How many syllables? Capacity. So from end, third one. So you have to place the vertical bar before P. So it is capacity. That's how you pronounce. Eyes. So again check for the syllable. Civilize. So where do you give third syllable from the end? So it is on the before C. Civilize. Okay. How about symbolize? How many syllables you have? So it's on the first syllable itself. Only 3 syllables, so on the first one. Okay, now logi, biology. So again check for the syllables. Biology. You have 4. Okay, so from back third one. 1, 2, 3. So you have to place the vertical bar before O, in between I and O. Okay, how do you pronounce? Biology, biology. Okay, now how many you have? Zoology. You again have 4 syllables here. So again the stress mark will be in between these 2 O's. Okay, so zoology. That's how we pronounce. So both are similar. So we can also say physio. So another word, physiology. How do you pronounce? Again check. Physiology. Okay. From back 3. Again it comes on before O only. Okay. Okay. Next word. Graphy. Geography. Let's see how many syllables. Geography. So from back, third syllable. So again it falls before O. Now biography. Similarly, how many syllables? Biography. So again in between I and O. So this is how you are supposed to answer in your examination. Write the word and place the stress mark correctly before the syllable where you have to stress. Okay, based on these rules. Okay, next. Now we have stress shift. So what is stress shift? When a word gets suffix, the stress will be shifted. For example, you have economy. How do you pronounce? Because it is E is a weak prefix, we are using the stress mark on the second syllable. Okay, so here we are pronouncing this as economy. So we are stressing more on co here. That's why the vertical bar stress mark is on that. Okay, economy. When I see ik, the suffix ik is added to economy, it becomes economic. Okay, so where do we stress? So here we have to, because it is ik. So do you remember ik? So ik, whenever there is ik suffix, then you have to place on the second syllable from the end, isn't it? So let's see now. How many syllables you have? You have 4 syllables. So whenever you have suffix ik, you have to place on the second syllable from the end. So 1 and 2. So you have to place here. Now, when for the same thing, metrics, when tricks are added, so econometrics, again the stress mark will shift. So for this metrics, the stress mark shifts to the M, econometrics. Okay, so this is how whenever we have suffixes to a particular word, the stress mark shifts from one place to the other place. You can see here also photograph. Okay, photograph is on the first. Okay, because it is a noun. Photographer. If ER, then the shift will change to the second syllable. If it is photographic, again from the back, the second one. So photographic is always from the, it is on the second syllable from the end of the word. So we have got on graphic. Okay, this is how you have to shift the word stress from whenever you have suffixes like this. Okay, but for some, you always have some exceptions also in grammar. Okay, so words like this doesn't change. So only few words when suffixes are added, you have word stress shift. Okay, stress shift. Whereas again exception that a few words doesn't have word shift. Okay, I'm sorry, stress shift. So for example, if it is carry, it is on the first. For carriage, again it is on the first only, even though you have a suffix age. Okay, so these are exceptions. For every grammar rule, you have exceptions. Okay, so this you have to understand. For example, attendance. So attend, you have on the second one. Again, even though dense suffix is added, you will have on the same second syllable. Similarly, enlighten, enlightenment, you have on the same second syllable. Begin, beginner. So even though suffix er is there, it will be on that. Actor, actress, scholar, scholarship. So exception for such words, we don't have stress shift. Okay, but otherwise for few words you have stress shift when there is a suffix, right? So you practice this so that you will remember. All nouns and adjectives has stress mark on the first syllable. Okay, this you have to remember. So all nouns and adjectives has stress mark on the first syllable, and verb, all the verb has stress mark on the second syllable. Okay, For example, here we have few words. So protest we can use as noun as well as verb. So when you speak, when you pronounce protest, if you want to use that as a noun, you have to stress on the first syllable. Protest, okay, protest. Whereas if you want to use the same word as a verb, you have to say protest. Okay, you have to use the force on the second syllable. For example, I'll give you an example. If I say, how do you pronounce? How do you pronounce this? If it is a noun, we have to stress on the first syllable because there are two syllables, conduct. Okay, so if it is a noun, then what is the meaning of this? You can use the same word as a verb also. Isn't it? Conduct. Okay, so all verbs, it should be on the second syllable. So this is the second syllable, right? What is the meaning of this and what is the meaning of that? If I say, I came to collect my conduct certificate. Okay, conduct certificate. So conduct, how do you pronounce? You stress on this conduct. Okay, that shows the certificate, conduct certificate. Whereas when you use the same word as verb, how do you pronounce? So you say, tomorrow I will conduct exam. Okay, I'm going to conduct a test tomorrow. So how do you use? It is a verb. So your examination will be conducted. Okay, so you have to stress on the second syllable. So by the way of pronunciation, you can understand whether you're talking about a noun or a verb. Okay, for example, you have another word, insult. Insult. So if I say that was a great insult, okay, so that was a great insult. So insult here is noun. So how do you pronounce? That was a great insult. Whereas if I say I was insulted, I was insulted. So here the insult is verb, isn't it? So how do you pronounce? I was insulted. Okay, that is the difference between verb and noun. Okay, even though spelling, pronunciation resembles, but the pronunciation, the word stress, the usage of word stress is different. And that's how we can differentiate from a noun and a verb. Okay, so this, always remember that all nouns are, the stress mark is on the first syllable, and all verbs, nouns and adjectives, okay, nouns, adjectives, the stress mark on the first syllable, verbs on the second syllable. Okay, so these are the rules of word stress. So practice. Let's do some exercises also. Now let's do some exercises and understand where to give the stress marks. Okay, so first one is aboard. So aboard, A is a weak prefix, so we have to place a stress mark on the second syllable. Okay, so it will be on board. So how do you pronounce? Aboard. Okay, the next one is extract. So here you have two syllables, and even this E is a weak prefix, so the second syllable will take the stress mark. So extract, this is how we have to pronounce. What is the third one? Himself. So all self words, selves and ever, will take the stress mark on itself. Okay, so himself, that's how you pronounce. So before, so even B is a weak prefix, isn't it? B is a weak prefix, so the next syllable will take the stress mark. So where you have to, this is how you have to answer. So in your examination, write the word and place that vertical bar correctly on before the syllable. Okay, so next, fifth one, metal box. This is a compound word, and so the stress mark will be on the first syllable. Next, 70. So all numbers are either nouns or adjectives. So 70 here, the stress mark will be on the first syllable. Any numbers, stress on the first syllable. Here 13. So any teens, the stress mark will be on teen itself. So you have to place the stress mark here. Okay, next one, absentee. So there is a suffix double E here. So whenever there is a suffix like this, you have to place the stress mark on the last syllable. Okay, so how many syllables you have? Absentee. So the stress mark will be on T. Okay, next, technique. Even technique also last syllable. Okay, so how many syllables you have? 2. So it should be on the last syllable. Okay, next, preparation. Whenever there is a suffix like this, so the stress mark should be on the second syllable from the end. So how many syllables we have? Preparation. Okay, so when shan is there, second syllable from the end of the word. So 1, 2. Your stress mark will be before R. Okay, financial, even IAL, the same rule follows. Second syllable from the end of the word. So how many you have? Financial. So the stress mark will be before N. Next one, historic. So whenever there is IC, again the same rule follows from the end, second. So historic. So the stress mark will be on the T from back, from the end, second syllable. Now emphasize. Whenever there is a suffix is, then it will be on the third syllable from the end. So how many syllable you have? Emphasize. So the syllable will be on the third syllable from the end of the word. Okay, finally record. So you doesn't know whether it is a noun or a verb, isn't it? So record could be either a noun or a verb. Okay, give me that record as a noun. The data are being recorded is a verb. So in case in your examination, if it is mentioned N in brackets, that means noun. If it is mentioned like that, you can place your stress mark on the first syllable, because all nouns and adjectives, the stress marks will be on the first syllable. In case if the same word is given, and if it is given verb, then all verbs, the second syllable you have to give the stress mark. So how many syllables you have? Record. So you have to place here. Okay, in case if it is not mentioned N or V, you can either write in this way, or just you can place the mark wherever on the first or second syllable you will get your marks, because this is not mentioned in the examination. Okay, you will get marks. So this is how you have to write your examination. Okay, you have to place the vertical bar correctly on the syllable. So please understand the word, go through all the rules, and first check how many syllables, and based on the rules on which syllable you have to place the stretch mark, and please place this vertical bar carefully. Write the word, entire word, and place the vertical bar on the syllable, before the syllable. Okay, so please practice. You may find a bit difficult, confusing, but if you go through all the rules which are there in your textbook, you will find better, you can understand better. So practice all the words, okay, so that you will understand and you can score good marks. So practice. All the best for your examination. Thank you.
Addod Solutions. Add-on